Guinea-nomics. Hello, human friends. My name is Pepper. I'm a guinea pig, and I have recovered from surgery. My hair even grew back, and the vet wasn't even sure if that would happen. The operation fixed everything. Well, the operation was the first part. I also had to take medication 3 times a day and stay off my feet for a few weeks so the incision could heal, and have someone monitor my incision to make sure it was healing properly. And also have someone keep close tabs on my food and water and whether I was pooping all the time, because if a guinea pig stops pooping, it's pretty much over for them within like a day. But then someone also had to clean up all that poop, which was in a really small space, because I was in a really small space, to make sure I didn't move around too much, and I couldn't do anything for myself at all. I got weighted on hand and foot, or, front paw and back paw. So, yeah, the surgery took like maybe 15 minutes. But the recovery part, well, that's taken weeks. I wasn't sure how I was going to pay for all those weeks of aftercare. The surgery was super expensive, but as it turns out, almost all the aftercare was absolutely free, because we don't pay people to take care of family members when they need extra help. That isn't exactly work. Well, it's work if somebody else has to do it. A part of the surgery bill did pay for the vet techs who did the medicating, monitoring, and poop counting for the first few hours after surgery. Then all the medicating, monitoring, and poop counting that happened after that, well, that was free, because it stopped being work. It only becomes work again if my human has to leave the house and pay someone else to come in and give me my lunchtime medication, or get sent out on a business trip and has to have a pet sitter come tidy up the cage every day, and things like that. When she comes back home, it isn't work anymore, except that it kind of still is work. It's just unpaid work. And there's a lot of unpaid work in our economy. People don't get paid to clean up after themselves, or cook food for themselves, or drive themselves around. That would be weird. But they can get paid to do those exact same things for other people, which makes more sense. What doesn't make sense is to not get paid when you do those things for other people. And yet, somehow, some people do a lot of things for other people without getting paid anything at all, especially when it comes to taking care of tiny baby and toddler people, but also sometimes teenage people, and even middle-aged married to people, and elderly, sick, or disabled people, and even neighbor people who are just visiting. But none of that is work, except it is work. And for some people, doing that very same work is a full-time job, like at a daycare or retirement center or a hotel. We tend to talk about doing work and having a job as if it's the same thing, but to an economist, these are very different things. What's great about jobs is that it's super easy to measure how much money someone makes at a job. It's right there on the pay stub or tax return. So when economists and other policymakers focus on jobs, they get all these numbers they can add together and multiply and divide. They get statistics. And it's not controversial, because they can just point to where they got all these numbers from, and everyone's in agreement that those numbers are real. What makes the issue of work a little less convenient is that it's not so easy to measure the value of the work that someone does, outside of how much they might be paid for it. So economists have to create estimates, and then people fight about the estimates and what counts as being valuable or not valuable, and whether it's even worthwhile to fold clothes to begin with. Literally, you could just leave the clothes in the dryer and take them out as needed. There is no value to the folding, unless wrinkly creases make you unhappy, because that will rob you of utility, and value is all about utility. So sometimes economists just want to take a break from all that and say, here are numbers I don't have to fight about. Then they get to play with those numbers, and they are very happy. But they are also missing a huge part of how the world actually runs, because unpaid work is a huge part of how our material needs get met. So if we think of the economy as this tapestry of inputs and outputs resulting in the creation and distribution of real goods and services, don't you somehow have to account for how my 3 daily medication doses were distributed to me? And how babies get fed in the middle of the night, and kitchens get cleaned, and homemade cookies get made at home, and gutters get cleared out, and trash gets to the curb, and sick people get to their doctor's appointments, and kids get to school, and a bazillion fallen trees get chopped up after a stupid hurricane that knocked out all the lights for 8 days. I mean, it's a lot. So maybe instead of just thinking about the jobs people do, we should also include the work people do when we develop policies and programs for the health of our economy, our society, and our communities. Because, yeah, I probably would have died without my surgery. But I also would have died without the care I needed after it. And I would not have liked that.